I'm just gonna start where I left off because my wireless was playing up and the video stopped. So yeah, I ended up going to this energy healer called Lynn, and she works on pulling up certain things that you need. She just intuitively connects to who you are and your energy, and then she can work out what you need at the time. So it could be a massage, like an energy massage, or it could be using crystals to heal you, or just bringing up certain things that you need help with. So I started going to see her because I was getting to the point where I wanted to commit suicide. I was very, very depressed after Beth died, and yeah, I wasn't eating well. I wasn't treating myself well. I was just drinking a lot and yeah, not looking after myself. So my mom sent me to see this energy healer, and it's the most life changing, amazing thing I've ever experienced. So I probably went to about 10 sessions, I think, every fortnight or so, and it was very intense at first because when you go into the room, it's absolutely amazing energy, and your energy is not so good, and it's very shaky and very chaotic. And so you go in there and you're very, rocky, and you don't know what to do, and you're kind of like sitting on the edge of the seat, and you're talking really fast and so I kind of did that for the first few sessions until I was eating better and drinking lots of water and eating properly, like 3 meals a day, and eating really good food and nuts and fruit and all the kind of stuff that's really good for you. But it took me a while to be able to actually get into that. So, at first I think there was some stuff on a lot of past life things. People who have been in past lives, I've been in a couple with Kane. Lynn also has a Tibetan monk that comes through her, and he actually came through to me. So she actually, he comes and he says, I want to, come talk to this person. She completely changes what she looks like, and she actually looks like a really old man. And she shuffles around the room and completely changes her voice. And she's Canadian, so she has a very Canadian voice. And then it just becomes this Tibetan old man voice. It's really, really intense. But he came through. So Chen, that's his name. He came through, and he was telling me times change. I picked out some tarot cards for my birthday, I reckon it was, and they were Archangel Michael. And so Chen told me that Archangel Michael doesn't choose you, you choose Archangel Michael. So if you're choosing Archangel Michael, you're ready for a huge change in your life. And I got a huge change. I had to start dealing with a lot of childhood issues that I had a lot of baggage from. So there was a lot of things I call them quite minute because they're things that my dad might have said or my brother might have said, or things that to a lot of people wouldn't matter, but as a kid really hurt me, and a lot of bullying as a kid, and yeah, just things that I didn't understand, and so I repressed them. So I had a lot of baggage. I mean, everyone has baggage. So I started dealing with mine, and I started dealing with the fact that I needed to grieve for my grandpa and grieve for Beth, and just grieve for these people that I no longer had to hold, so close to me, because of course they were always going to be a part of me. But I kept a lot of that stuff inside. So Lynn was able to bring a lot of that stuff out. She did a lot of healing and a lot of past life work. I'd been a witch who'd been drowned for my supernatural ability, and that's why I was so afraid of bringing it out in this lifetime, because the intuitiveness scared me because of what happened. I was in past lives with Kane. I've had a few little niggling ones where I'd definitely been in one with my little brother before, and a lot of friends. I know that I've been in past lives with them. So that stuff started coming up, and it really rang true with the reasons as to where I hold emotion, like on my shoulders, and things that had happened to me that actually cause physical pain when you're going through the transition of understanding that this happened in a past life, this is affecting me still now, and I need to get rid of that. And so it's a transition. And when you start going through that transition, it's very painful, and you get quite sick. So I was getting pretty sick, and I was cold, I had infections, and then it all went. And I was eating really well, I lost a lot of weight. It was really hard to keep going every now and then. We were in a pretty low energy house. Weren't just able to really be yourself. There's a lot of spirit chaotic stuff going on there. So it was a bit hard to change, but it had to happen. Well, I was ready to change. So that started. I also shaved my head. Just lost the shit one night and just shaved my head. That was kind of the start of beginning something new for myself. So I lost like 15 kilos. I shaved my head. I started exercising and found a job. Found that my mind was happier doing uni work, and I was understanding it a lot better and feeling a lot better about what I was reading and actually taking it in, because before I used to eat like 1 meal a day, never eat breakfast, just drink absolute crap stuff like iced coffee, eat processed food, had a lot of sugar, cut all of that out, and wow, like the difference was just amazing. Eating very fresh food, fresh fruit, nuts, drink lots of water, and yeah, it has completely changed my life. And no matter what, like without alcohol, I'm not depressed anymore, and I don't get anxiety. Even when I don't sleep properly, like I definitely don't get the anxiety that I used to. Unless there's some weird energy around, and then that's probably the biggest problem with anxiety for me. So I guess like Lynn was basically my catalyst. I should say I'm my own catalyst. So yeah, I guess like I made that choice where I was like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to get to that point where I do want to kill myself, because I was getting to that point. And I was getting really down. So I started changing things, and that kind of brought on a real spiritual awareness for me. So I started getting some visions, and I started like feeling spirits in the house, and talking a lot with friends who still and experience that stuff as well. And I mean, I think Lynn told me. Oh, I also went to see a clairvoyant, and she actually connected with Beth, and Beth said to me that she didn't want me or any of my friends to feel like they were lonely, because we're never alone, and she always felt very alone, and she didn't want us to feel like that. So she's around a lot of us, because yeah, she doesn't want that to happen to us. But she also didn't need to be here anymore. She didn't like this lifetime at all. It wasn't really for her, and I've had conversations with her now, and she's really happy where she is. So I can't, be angry at her or upset at her, because as much as I might miss her, she's in a better place. She was in absolute torment here on Earth, so she's in a better place now. So yeah. But yeah, we've had lots of experiences, like talking to Beth. If I talk about Beth, she's usually around, even when I talk about Beth with like my friends or anything, or my partner, like she always comes around. And our other friend Georgia, she died as well, February 2011, and she's around as well. We've had experiences where we've been able to talk to her and yeah, sort some things out, I guess. And to a lot of people, they wouldn't really understand that. But until you actually experience it, it's very hard to explain, because you do feel like you're a bit crazy at first. Like, you kind of just get this niggling thought in your head, and it's like, I know that's not me, or, you know it's not you, it's external part of something. But I didn't see any spirits at Lyle Street, but that place was very chaotic, and when my housemate moved out, there was a lot of dark shadows in his room, and we cleansed it a lot, and yeah, cleansing kind of became a big thing and still is now. I cleanse my house so often because my energy gets stale. You know, like we're not happy 24/7. So, you know, when you're feeling a bit down or whatever, your energy is going to get stale when you create that environment for yourself. So it's really important to constantly cleanse your environment so that it's not stagnant and it's constantly moving. Otherwise, you're just going to have completely stale energy. Um, my I guess my most recent experience in the house I am now, my partner moved to Melbourne, so I had to move in with someone who I didn't know. Um, and at first he seemed like a pretty cool guy, but the more and more that I got to know him, his energy was just like really, really low. And, you know, we had a lot of problems at Lyle Street in that house. It was very, very old. But I think the energy from this guy was much worse. He had a lot of childhood issues, I could tell. But he actually had a big party when I was away in state, and I came home and I was really, really angry because my bed had been used and my quilt and like a whole lot of my stuff had been used, and the idea was that I wasn't allowed to go near his room, so why did he go near mine? And I got home and the whole place was trashed and my kitchen stuff was used, and I was just like, mate, you can't do this, like, you know. And we decided that he needed to move out. But after I'd yelled at him, I started seeing this very odd kind of a spirit of him. And I was trying to work out what it was. And I researched it up a bit about, like, maybe it's his soul that's detached. I thought, how the hell does a soul detach? Like, if you believe in souls, which, you know, I do, how does it detach, you know? Like, he's alive. He's not dead. Very, very creepy. At first I thought maybe it was a relative of his trying to find him, but he'd actually told me that there was no one in his family that was as tall as him. He was the only one. It was very rare. And then I had a friend over, and she saw it. And she, you know, didn't really know about it. She saw it. And another friend who was over that night saw shadows. She doesn't see like the spirit, but she sees shadows. But it was actually the first spirit, like, form that I've actually seen. And it was like his exact replica. And it was really creepy as well. Like, it would just be at places and, like, I'd be like, can you please go away? You're creeping me out, you know. And I mean, you can say that and they will go. Like, they're pretty good like that. Like, they have to. Because I don't think they realize what the energy they're putting onto you. And as humans who don't really protect ourselves much, we're very, very sensitive to that kind of stuff, and our energy field is very, very sensitive unless you're building up a white light. So if you're not protecting yourself from it, it's gonna really hit you. But I had 3 friends who saw it, so it wasn't just me. Because at first I just thought, oh, whatever, I must be crazy. Then there was a night that I had to go down to my parents' house. And I just had to get away because it was just horrible being in the house with him, his energy here. And I actually meditated, because I meditate basically every night. I deep breathe myself to sleep, and I will maybe experience, I might experience really good sleep, visions, just dreams that mean something, like they'll guide me through something, or something that's just telling me something, or a higher self. So I do experience, like, some spiritual things from meditation. Love meditation. Without it, I wouldn't be able to clear myself in the day or sleep properly, I don't think. Especially since Kane's gone. I find it hard to sleep as it is. So, you know, it's 2 a.m. now and I'm still up. And I've had about 3 hours in about 2 days. So, you know, a bit insomniac at the moment. But, yeah, so I was meditating at my mum's house because I couldn't meditate here. Like, I couldn't do it. It would have probably overtaken me. And so I meditated at mum and dad's, and it came to me that it's actually like, when I'd yelled at him, it triggered something from his past, or from a situation when he was a child of a woman yelling at him, and it triggered him to detach. And so his actual spirit emotionally detached from him. So he had no ability to understand my emotions. Like, he thought I was crazy because I got upset. He thought that I had no real right to get upset. He never said sorry, you know. he couldn't actually understand that I was angry. He thought I was depressed and suicidal, but I was just annoyed and angry and frustrated and, disappointed and all these other emotions and nothing to do with depression or suicide. So he couldn't actually work that out, and this was actually like his emotional spirit detached. It was absolutely intense. But I've actually heard of some people doing it. Dissociation, you dissociate from your emotion. It's completely detached from it. So that made a lot more sense. So that actually came to me in a meditation. Then I felt the energy, and my God, it was just horrible. Because I can feel energies also. Like if I'm here and someone says to me, "Can you feel the energy in my house?" I can. So I can tell what's going on and like whether there's anything bad there or where it is, or yeah, intuitively like have that information. So that's pretty cool because there are situations where I've had to ring someone and say I don't know what's going on with the energy in my house, and she's able to go, well, I can actually see this. So I've got 2 or 3 friends that are absolutely amazing with the same kind of natural stuff abilities. So we kind of bounce off each other, which is really cool. Another thing is like reading minds or reading thoughts. Kane and I, he had some acid last time he was here about a month ago, and he was actually, we were talking in this weird sentence structure where I'd say a couple words, he'd say a couple words, I'd say a couple words, and we just had this perfect sentence, and it was about like intuition, and intuition is about knowing. So you trust yourself and you trust your gut and you know, and there's nothing else to it. It's when you start questioning yourself and you start challenging your gut and your intuition that you start derailing and justifying things. So you start justifying things to yourself like, oh, I did this, but I ate all this chocolate, but it's okay because blah blah, Instead of just knowing in your intuition that you don't need it. That's something that is really important, and that was coming to us, but also telepathic, abilities. And we were going through this stage where, we're getting more and more connected the more we come together. So our energy, we notice that like our energy is a bit odd because we're not completely together and connected, but we're actually pretty connected even though we're in different states. So yeah, when I was over in Melbourne last, I was able to, I thought of a colour. I said, all right, let's try this shit. Like, this is pretty crazy, but let's try it. So I thought of a colour, and he thought of the exact same colour. And then I thought of another colour, and he thought of the exact same colour again. And I said, all right, let's mix it up a bit. So I thought, all right, well, I'll think of a cheese. So I said to him, all right, what cheese am I thinking of? And the exact same thing I was thinking of was not cheddar Jarlsberg. And he actually just said straight up, like, oh, Jarlsberg, but not cheddar. And I was like, what? Like, it blew my mind. And then at some point I was thinking about my cat, and it was a complete sentence, like, milk a chin, blah, blah, or something. He actually, like, just said the exact sentence, like, without me saying it. I was just thinking it at the traffic light. And I was like, what? I was just thinking the same thing. And then we had a couple of experiences, and it's mostly when we experienced something spiritual, like, we've had different things contact us. We've had like non-organic things. Kane understands that a bit more. I don't really understand what they are. We've had aliens, some form of extraterrestrial, I should say. He's had experiences, connections, especially when he's on acid, and they'll actually, it opens up his mind eye, and he speaks in different languages that he's never heard of before, speaks in different voices, speaks out like meditation drones that we've never before. He doesn't go research this stuff. But it all teaches him something. So he's able to use them, or telling him like something about what path he needs to go on next or something like that. So he's experienced that as well. That's probably some of the most freakiest, like when you're sitting around and you just, he's had some acid. I mean, I don't do it, so I'm usually like the person who's never on it. And then he just fucking goes, puts his head back and just starts talking all this stuff that's being fed into his mind's eye. It's like, what are you saying? Like, he'll just be like, oh, blah, 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 like in this different language, and it's pretty freaky. But you know, I've had friends who've experienced him doing that, and I'm like, really sorry if we freaked you out. Like, I know you're on acid as well, and yeah, so it's definitely been pretty interesting. He hasn't had that for a while though, but every time he has this like experience that just shapes him. And that's what I love about acid. You know, like people can say what they want, and media can say what they want, but it is like the best drug if you want to open yourself and you want to find your path or where you need to be in life, and it'll completely, I call it deconstruct, reconstruct, because it completely deconstructs you, and then you get back together and you're just like completely cleansed of negative shit, and you know, anything that you might have felt really badly about, like it rips away that ego, and so you're just like, oh, I'm just me now. And I always explain it as like the shit that happens in day-to-day life, stress, fucking work, you know, study, people, anything that stresses you out, it all wraps up. And you've got a cord, but it's wrapping up, and you know, it's really tight, or you know, it's like tied up in a knot, and it can get really fucking tight. And the best thing about acid is it just rips it all apart, and you're back to your core. And that's what, you know, when you go get, if you get really good therapy, find a good therapist. That's what they'll start doing. They'll start unraveling all this baggage that's just seated and, you know, just sitting there. But I forgot where I was at. Yeah, so when it comes to like experiencing these kind of things, I guess I want people to like understand that extraterrestrials and, you know, all these other beings, or like monks, because I've got monks that talk to me as well, and they'll just sit in my room and give me energy and things like that, and you know, I can feel that, like, who it is and what gender it is from, and you know, things like that. It's not that freaky. Like, of course, if you believe in heaven and hell and like a Christian background, you're probably gonna be like, it doesn't exist, and they're not gonna come to you because you're not sensitive to it. You know, like the only reason that I can now contact, or like, I wouldn't even call it contact, just I'd call it a conversation. So, you know, I can talk to them or feel them or whatever, is because I've opened myself up to it. I mean, I can close myself up again, you know, but I keep myself open because I absolutely love it. I'm in touch with something that I was so scared of. I was scared of dying, and I used to have panic attacks about it, and, you know, wake up in my sleep and be freaked out, and, you know, I was afraid of the unknown. I was so fearful of a lot of things, and now it's like, it cuts away all of that, and I know that I'm in control. You know, I'm in control of my life, my path, my journey, my destiny, you know, the choices that I make in life, the decisions. I'm in control of my energy. I'm in control of my happiness, what I eat, what I drink, you know, the exercise I do, my lifestyle. I'm in control of all of that. You know, no one else controls that but me. And I'm in control of the contact that I have, you know, the conversations I have. I can stop it. But, you know, it's a part of me, and that's who I am. Like, I'm a form of, you know, psychic ability. So to throw that away and not be able to experience these things and know a lot more about, you know, I guess, like, you know, the other side, you know, I think I'm more whole knowing this stuff and experiencing it than I would be even the bad stuff. Like, you know, I've experienced some really intense negative energy where you actually just want to vomit, and people will project it onto you. Or, you know, there are a lot of vampires, like, you know, vampires, because they're not actually vampires, but, you know, they drain your energy, because they're quite negative and they're quite built up on past things. And so, you know, there are a lot of people like that out there, and you can get really drawn into that. But my best thing right now, and I'd suggest anyone to do it, is don't project any negative energy about anyone or thoughts, or, you know, display any kind of dislike or hate or anything like that. But the best thing is to think positively and I've chosen 4 things to put on people. So, I have been in instances recently where there's these people around that I, in the past have been like, I hate them, they're disgusting and they've done all these horrible things to my friends and blah, blah, blah. But when I saw them, all I put on them, I close my eyes and I just meditate on it. And I mean, I've been white lining myself a lot lately. So I actually gave myself a 5 meter radius, of white light around myself. And, I put on them self-knowledge of, who they are in their core, humility, happiness, and love. And if I just repeat those over and over again and project it to them, then that's my input, If I think, oh, they're so horrible, they're so disgusting, the energy's so bad, blah, blah, it's like, I'm just not going to get anywhere, and I'm just projecting that out into the world. And, everyone is a part of this planet, and everyone's a part of the environment, and everyone's a part of one consciousness. If I'm putting that out into the world, then I'm just affecting everyone around me. So if I can actually be a little bit positive, I actually read this in the Tibetan Art of Positive Thinking, and I picked it up at my mom's house, and I thought, oh, grab that. And I've only read like 1.5 chapters, but that bit is what I need right now. I need to start focusing on it. And, I was reading about this guy who was able to, because energy is something that you can change very easily. So he was actually able to, like, this guy was yelling at his girlfriend and, like, getting really violent, and he was actually able to just focus on him so that he just stopped. And he didn't really know why, but he just stopped because the energy just made him stop. So yeah, it was really interesting, like, reading up about, like, ancient Tibetan monks and how energy and telepathic, like, ways were the way that they spoke, and they used to have, like, telepathic wars and things like that. It was really, really interesting, like, history I never knew about. This religion called Bon, before Buddhism. So it was really, really interesting. I've only read a couple chapters, but I'm going to read the rest. But yeah, so this kind of, like, way of being is actually pretty ancient, and it's not new. And, if we can develop a more enlightened understanding of who we are, where we are, and, a more love for other people, and even the people you don't like, because they're going through shit. The reason they're assholes is because they've gone through childhood shit and they don't know how to deal with it. So, you gotta feel sorry for them and, understand that, hey, maybe one day they'll wake up and be like, shit. Because, I went through a lot of crap and I was an asshole. And I woke up one day and was like, I need to stop drinking. I need to stop, putting all this shit in my body. I need to stop, being judgmental and, just, you get to that point where you've got to just stop it, So hopefully these people get the same. And, sometimes people will say to me like, oh, they'll never change. But I changed. So why wouldn't someone else change? It can take one thing for them to change. Like, it took one thing for me. My friend killed herself, and then I was like ready to do it, and I was like, I can't do this. I need to do something about it. I actually want to exist. So yeah, it's really interesting, like, how all those things come together. But I find it really hard how people get afraid of, like, things like extraterrestrials. The reason they're afraid is because, Hollywood's put out movies and, the media plays on it a lot, as a fearful thing. But, I mean, there are negative, extraterrestrial races out there. There are. Pretty scary because they're super intelligent. But there are really nice ones as well, and, you just can't think that you're the only bloody, race, human, something intellectual, existing, I guess, race. I don't know how to put it, terrestrial, in the universe. Like, I can't believe it. In a multi-facet universe, like, we're not just one universe. I'm sure that there's billions and billions of universes, and I can't accept that we're the only ones, And humans are so complex, and yeah, we're very, we're not like a lot of other, beings like that, where I'm a very complexity, like emotional, being. Yeah, so we're a bit weird, but I don't know. We're a lot more emotional. I think that's what affects the consciousness as well, and the negative and the positive, and all those kind of effects on the planet. And yeah, I just think that you're never gonna have world peace, but everyone can think positively and change their life, and be a bit more happier. So yeah, I don't know how I guess it's connected. I was gonna say I don't know how I got from spirits to that, but I guess like having opened myself up to it, I've got more of an understanding as to where we go when we die. And you don't really die, you just kind of rebirth and move on. Like, death isn't what we think. Just because you're not going to exist as a person with a mind and ego and body and all that doesn't mean that you're not going to exist. And, you know, um, I guess because I had contact with, like, my grandpa who's around, guardian angel, and I've got like 5 guardian angels that sit around, and one of them is my grandma's sister who died of cancer. I never met her, Lily. She's around as well. And I think my mum's brother who died at birth is around, Andrew. So, there's a few that are around. They're around and they're there, and, I'm not fucking crazy. So, there's life after death in a sense, but it's, you're just not in this form. And I used to get really freaked out by that, but I'm comforted now to know that I could be someone's guardian angel one day. I think that's a really nice feeling. But yeah, so I guess kind of sums up in a short version of what we've been through. But we're both going on a really interesting spiritual path right now. We're very much breakdown, rebuild, breakdown, rebuild at the moment, and it's not a terrible thing, but it's really hard to keep stable with your life when you work and you're trying to do everything and break down and rebuild. It's hard, but it's quite fun in a way. Like, I don't know, I like that stuff. I like challenges. I like being really fucking ripped apart, and then my eyes opened, and then I'm like, oh crap, I didn't realize that. So, I think it's important. I think if you're not facing reality, you're not facing anything, and you're just hiding, and hiding just creates fear. So, you gotta just not be fearful about things. And if you got fears, start finding out why you've got fears. Like, start working out why you're putting on weight, or like why you're fearful, or start working out like the reason why I was putting on weight was because of um I always thought, oh yeah, it's because my mum's big, or it's a family thing, but it's not. It's actually like pretty much from when I was really little. And there's situation where there's actually a few situations, and one of them was my brother was really sick as a child, as a baby. Well, no, sorry, I was a baby, and he was 3 or 4 years old, and he had a brain tumor, and I didn't get any attention, and so it kind of made me a bit mental as a kid. And there were situations where in school I just protected myself with food, because it made me feel better. And then I got really big, and yeah, my mum's just the same. She protects herself with food as well. So like, to having been like that, and then understand that, and be able to go to the other side of transition and understand that I don't need food to protect me anymore is like, it's just incredible. But it's really hard to still get into that mindset. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that you gotta pull out, or you're just gonna fear them forever. Fear's not a way to live at all. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave that there. And yeah, I wanted to give some insight into what's happened in my life, because the last 3 years have been really intense, and I keep forgetting to write it down. So I thought, well, if I chuck it on YouTube, at least I've got it down on video. Alright, well, peace out.